television is not relaxing. If television puts our minds in a passive receptive mode, if it inhibits thinking processes, as the preceding remarks certainly suggest, can this be seen as positive? As mentioned in Chapter 8, many of my correspondents seem to like what happens to them. People say, quote, "It relaxes my mind," unquote. Others use the term spaced out. Some call it meditative. The evidence that television produces alpha brain waves, commonly associated with meditation states, encourages the idea that something beneficial can result, especially for our mentally obsessed culture. In many ways, we are a people isolated in our heads. Nature is absent. Our senses are deprived. The business person lives in the mental world of offices, paperwork, and forward-focused, driven thinking processes. The suburban person lives in a predefined mental and physical movement patterns, freeways, mechanical kitchens, repetitive routines. The child sits in schools, fixed in chairs, focused on mental work, attempting to channel thoughts in a way that will help later in this world. As the environment has become reconstructed into linear, monolithic patterns, and as our days have been reconstructed to function within those patterns, our minds have had to adjust. We drive them forward into obsessive work. We push our thoughts into line, marching with military precision, objectified, analytical, isolated from our senses, our feelings, and any alternate patterns of mind. We need to do this. The creative, free-roaming mind would help neither the child get through school nor the adult pay rent. We have celebrated, quote, "the life of the mind," unquote. But is this the mind we wanted? When we speak of relaxing our minds nowadays, it is not as though we have been working them at anything like their capacity. If our minds are strained, it is from confinement within one pattern of thinking. Most of our mental capacities have gone fat and soft or dead from atrophy. It may be that our minds are not tired from overwork, but underwork. If you have ever done physical exercise on a regular basis, you know the result is not exhaustion, but stimulation. The more of it you do, the more you wish to do, the more you can do. It is only after extraordinarily long effort that one becomes depleted and needs rest. And then the relaxation is sweet. In our culture, the chronically exhausted person is the one who sits all day, or the one whose physical work is chained to fixed patterns, assembly line, store counter, waiting on tables. I believe it is the same with our minds, confined to one mental process. They are exhausted by underuse and repetition. After a day of paperwork, turned off in so many realms of experience, compulsive and obsessive in those that remain, we dearly seek to escape mentally. Psychiatrists report that an increasing number of people these days complain they cannot quiet their minds. One cannot will the mind to cease its fixations and rumination. Even when it comes to sleep or sex or play, experiences that require shifting out of focused thought, the mind continues to churn. It is little wonder, therefore, that we have seen the sudden growth of Eastern religious disciplines, yogic practices, martial arts, diverse exercise regimens, and many forms of meditation. They help relieve the agonies of uncalm minds pacing their narrow cages. They stop obsessive thinking and open alternative mental awareness. They allow for the reception of new experiences. They encourage yielding as opposed to always driving forward. They teach people to take in rather than put out. While many people use these ancient disciplines to achieve freedom from the driving of their minds, most people do not, choosing drugs instead. Alcohol is good, Valium is better. Some sleeping potions work. and there's television. They all succeed. Drugs provide escape while passing for experience and relaxation. Television does as well. All help break obsessive thinking. But this is where their similarity with meditation and other disciplines comes to an end. I have quoted from Dr. Morris and Dr. Pepper to the effect that in meditation one produces one's own internally generated imagery. Both contrast meditation with television viewing, in which the images are imposed. The difference between internally generated and imposed imagery is at the heart of whether it is accurate to say that television relaxes the mind. Relaxation implies renewal. One runs hard, then rest. While resting, the muscles first experience calm, and then, as new oxygen enters them, renewal. Similarly, one thinks and thinks, driving one's mind forward. To relax the mind, one needs to cease thinking, to calm the mind. In Zen meditation, for example, something called, quote, empty mind, unquote, is desirable because once achieved, renewal begins. When the mind is quiet, one produces one's own new imagery and experiences a new sense of one's place in the world. There are other forms of meditation, however, that are less interested in self-renewal and discovery. These are the forms imposed by the right wing of the religious disciplines, those with autocratic leadership: Erhart, Moon, Maharaji, L. Ron Hubbard. These leaders are not interested in empty mind, but in minds which are empty only long enough to be refilled by them. Whether you are doing Zen meditation or the specific mantras of Reverend Moon, your mind may go into alpha, but one condition is not similar to the other. With the latter, your mind is not renewed, it is occupied. And so it is with television. When you are watching, absorbing techno guru, your mind may be in alpha, but it is certainly not, quote, empty mind, unquote. Images are pouring into it. Your mind is not quiet or calm or empty. It may be nearer to dead or zombie-ized. It is occupied. No renewal can come from this condition. For renewal, the mind would have to be at rest, or once rested, it would have to be seeking new kinds of stimulation, new exercise. Television offers neither rest nor stimulation. Television inhibits your ability to think, but it does not lead to freedom of mind, relaxation, or renewal. It leads to a more exhausted mind. You may have time out from prior obsessive thoughts, but that's as far as television goes. The mind is never empty. The mind is filled. What's worse, it is filled with someone else's obsessive thoughts and images. In this way, television serves to continue the same channeled mental processes from which one is seeking relief. The mind is as weary after watching as before. No invention or creation can result, only sleep, if you are lucky, as with the aftermath of alcohol and Valium.